Witches, they're vampires. It's all entertainment for the sake of entertainment.
When it comes to actually talking about our culture and our history, then you twist it.
Where are we going to see our superheroes?
You saw how mad they were just about a mermaid being black.
Baptism is a ritual. Like, oh my God, he's drinking blood. And I'm just thinking to myself, ain't that what y'all do every Sunday or every first Sunday? It is a form of spiritual oppression when they intentionally keep your spirituality from you. And then you go home, you cleanse your kid and you make sure he clean and everything. Do that energetically. Do that spiritually.
The attracting the money and attracting the love. Make sure that you're not going in it with the greedy perspective or you just want money. You just want love too, because it's usually you just want that man.
Hello, I am Lala Inuti Ahari with the Conjure Confessions and the Conjure Family reality show, now airing on Amazon Prime and Apple TV. We would like to show the trailer for you guys on the show. For some of you who are not familiar with our reality show, we aired back in, I want to say 2020 or 2021, got 3 million views on this reality show. So we decided to do a second season, which is now on Amazon Prime and Apple TV. We want you to take a look. We got lifestyle, we got drama, we got spirituality, and it gives you a deeper look into our lives, our personal lives as a Conjure family. Take a look at the trailer.
You don't need a crystal ball to see this isn't your everyday family.
I am Lala Inuti Ahari, the mother of 3 very powerful witches.
They've got altars, attitude, and an 8-figure brand. And now they've got a show.
You identify with a religion, or are you more so spiritual?
Spiritual.
We're doing money work for other people, but you see the way we live in it, we do the work for ourselves too.
The only thing stronger than their magic is their mouths.
I see her and I just feel like this is my time to fuck with her.
There is not a day in hell that I'm going to let them disrespect me.
From full moons to money moves, this family does it all with divine alignment.
Ancestors, spirit guides, and all benevolent entities to enter into this space.
This is the Conjure Family. New series premieres June 30th on Prime Video and Apple TV.
It's lit.
And welcome back to Conjure Confessions. I am Eria Ahari.
I'm Chaela Ahari.
Lala Inuti Ahari.
And I hope you guys enjoyed that trailer. It is now streaming on Amazon Prime and Apple TV. So
Let's get into it.
Yeah. Today I want to get into American Horror Story.
I love that show.
That is such a big show in the spiritual community because I feel like it was one of the biggest when it came to showing Marie Laveau and her story, which it really didn't really show her story. It just, she was named in it. But it was one of the first times where a very powerful Black woman, was depicted in a very powerful way in spirituality, in her faith of voodoo. Even though they didn't really represent voodoo correctly, right? But it is really big in the spiritual community, this show.
But you know whose story they did get wrong, though? Like, completely, like, opposite, which was, because they did show Marie Laveau, but they also showed Legba. But the light that they showed on him was that he was just this evil person who needs kids as a sacrifice.
Yeah, sacrificing babies.
Like, and anybody who knows Legba knows that is the complete... He literally has children toys on his altar. Like, he loves kids.
Yeah, but not to sacrifice them.
Yeah, no.
You don't need to sacrifice your kids to Legba. Please do not.
Please. Spare the babies.
Papa Legba is a benevolent spirit. Can be sometimes of a trickster, but still benevolent and does not take baby sacrifices. So that was very incorrect.
But why do you think that they did that? Do you think it's because, like, the show was called American Horror Story?
Yeah,
Like,
for the sake of entertainment.
But that's like, they don't do that for anything else.
Yeah.
Like, so why do you telling his story that way just for the sake of the plot?
I think that Black African spirituality has always been used that way for just a form of spookism, and entertainment and horror stories. I feel like that is a conditioning method to keep you thinking that that is evil, that is scary, that is evil, that is scary. You could be completely into somebody, right? And y'all vibing. He like, you the best person. You know, I've never met anybody like you before, right? And then the minute you say voodoo or even hoodoo, they're immediately scared. But in that moment, do they really know why? You know, it's like,
It's conditioning.
it's conditioning because of shows like that, because of other shows that create this narrative that ATR is evil.
Yeah, I just think in general, well, two things. One, definitely a misconception about Papa Legba's energy. He does kind of have that playful, innocent energy that's likened to a child, but obviously doesn't mean that you have to sacrifice children. So that's definitely a big misconception. And another thing I feel like too, while, you know, the film industry can play on certain fictional elements or add fictional elements to things that are real and real practices, I just think that some things are a little bit too sensitive to play with. And so because African traditional religions and beliefs were always the subject of criticism and judgment and misconceptions, it's really hard for people to see that as a sense of entertainment, even if it's not true and it's just for fictional elements. But because so many people attach spookism and even lies about these belief systems.
Intentional.
Right. Even, yeah, people have intentionally done this. So when you add fictional elements to it, it kind of still gives that slap in the face.
Yeah. Because it's still a form of oppression. That's why. It's still a way, and I've said this before, I think in the first episode, it is a form of spiritual oppression when they intentionally keep your spirituality from you and call you evil or ostracize a group of people who are believing in themselves and calling on their ancestors and using ATR to help themselves level the playing field, which is what our ancestors did with it. They don't, you know, the powers that be just may not like that, or white supremacists, whatever you want to call it, do not like our spirituality. They may even try to use it, but a lot of them do not like our spirituality because it gives us too much power. Think about it. Think of what we have done without it. Look at how far we have come without it.
Yeah.
We're a powerful people, right? And we have done a lot without it. So just think of how powerful we would be with it if we really tapped into it and we really came together on it, and it was a cultural practice and everybody was on that type shit, right? Okay.
Basically, like in the movies, in the slavery movies, like the playing field wasn't even. Like when the slaves and stuff, the black people were trying to like read and like trying to educate themselves, and like, you know, if they were caught doing that, there would be a punishment for that. Because if they were to read and they were to be smarter than the white people, you know,
yes,
then now we have a problem.
That's the reason for oppression.
Yeah.
To keep you dependent and oppressed and miserable and in poverty.
And they don't talk about it either. Like they're quick to, like, even going back to how they did Legba, like they're so quick to like talk about and remind us of the things we've been through. I won't even say our history because that's not even where we come from, but like what we've been through, they're so quick to remind us and like talk about it. But when it comes to actually talking about our culture and our history, then you twist it and you demonize it and you make it wrong and you make it evil.
But that's not the only thing that is being done. What also is being done is you take your color of people and your culture of people and you put them in these superhero movies where they have special powers, right? They are superheroes. They have special powers. They're witches, white witches. They're vampires. It's all entertainment for the sake of entertainment, which is cool. You know, that's okay, right? But why do you only accept that from a certain culture versus, you know, like where are we going to see the movie with the Orishas, you know, and how powerful they are, and have some Black people play those roles? Where are we going to see our superheroes?
You saw how mad they were just about a mermaid being Black.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, and that didn't even have to do with
And then
anything.
Captain America had the same reaction.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's a problem, you know, when we do it, right? So you can't care about that, though.
Yeah, no,
You can't care about that. You cannot give a damn. And I don't know if it's just the Aries in me that's like, I don't give a fark about what anybody thinks about what I'm doing. I know this is right. I know where I'm supposed to be. I know this is supposed to happen. This is real. This is right. This is nature. This is natural. This is, you know, my ancestors guided me here. This is where I'm supposed to be. You know why? Because I am elevating in this space. People are flowing to me and were coming to me in my business and listening to me and wanting to be taught by, like, it just happened. It came, it grew, it was supported. Mm-hmm. Right. And in the spiritual community, that's what we say, but in the religious community, they call that anointing. Right. So it's the same thing. It's you are where you're supposed to be, teaching, helping grow. You know, you have people coming to an altar, praying, conjuring a spirit that says they'll come when two or more are calling on him, right? That's in the Bible, right? He says, I'll come when two or more are calling on me. So that's conjure. What's the difference? Obviously there's a difference, but in essence, it's really the same thing. You know, I watched, what was it? I was getting my hair done and we were watching Caught in the Act with Tamar Braxton. There's one with Tammy Roman, which I love. Right. And then there's one with Tamar Braxton, but it's called Double Life. Caught in the Act, Double Life. Shout out to Tamar and shout out to Tammy. And there was an episode, I want to say episode 4 or so, where the double life was, and this is a spoiler alert for anybody who wants to watch the show, but I'm going to tell you because I got to make this point. And there was a point there in this show, in this specific episode, the double life was somebody who was practicing vampirism.
Interesting.
Right.
I've heard about vampires.
Wow.
Yeah. And where this guy really believed that he was a vampire, and he was going to the local butcher, getting a bowl of blood in a container, and he was putting it in this thing and he was drinking it. And it was just like, you know, they were like, oh my God, like he's doing all these things. And I'm just sitting here looking at it. Now, obviously, I'm not drinking no blood and I'm not doing that. Right. No. But because I don't think I'm a vampire either. But, you know, that's a form of faith.
Right.
I don't agree with it. I do know that it's not all bad. It can get dark like anything else.
Anything.
Right.
I mean, anything.
And everything can get dark. Right. But what I do appreciate in the show was that Tamar gave some explanation and education on it, instead of making an entire show about judging it.
Mm-hmm. Right.
And judging him. And there were people in the show like, oh my God, he's drinking blood. And I'm just thinking to myself, ain't that what y'all do every Sunday or every first Sunday in communion?
Right. Your bread and your juice.
It represents the blood, the juice represents the blood and the body. And it's like, to me, that's a ritual too. But they don't look at it that way.
Right.
It's so, like, people are so blind to it. They're not asking the questions.
Right.
Ask the questions. Why are we doing that?
Standards either. That's the crazy part.
You got to baptize my whole body in a body of water That's a ritual too.
It's literally the whole
To a spirit.
process is a ritual.
But if you
That
shine
is a
a light
ritual.
on that, it's,
Baptism is a ritual.
yeah.
You may not think that it's terrible or as bad, and I'm not saying it is, but you do it for a certain cause, just like other people do what they do for a certain cause and deserve the same respect in their faith. So yes, I do. Just going back to that show, I appreciate that there was more education on it and less judgment.
It sounds gross, but I mean, even I made a face when you said it.
I would actually want to know more about that.
Yeah, it
You would just wanna
sounds
know more.
interesting.
In my mind, I don't even think you can ingest blood without there being some type of complication. So I'm genuinely wanting to know, like,
For health
how-
reasons,
yeah,
how are you
like,
doing
how
that?
are you even doing this?
Animal blood, though, it's from a butcher.
Oh, okay. So that
He got it
kinda
from
does make sense.
yeah. It wasn't his blood or someone else's blood. It was from a butcher. He went to a butcher and he got,
But you know, people
container.
literally consume.
and you saw the
people-
butcher like scraping it off the table from
Oh, God.
whatever he was chopping up. And
People eat bloody meat all the time. They don't
same.
cook their
People
food.
literally
Hello.
eat like they make soup out of deer blood.
Yeah.
It's called
And I ain't gonna
deer
get too
soup or
deep.
something like that. Yeah,
I ain't gonna
But-
get too deep, but there's a certain gene in a certain people that causes vampirism and why they like raw meat. And I ain't gonna get into it, but if you know, you know.
Mm-hmm.
You know a movie that I do want to see, but I'm a little, I don't know. I don't like seeing like too much horror movies because I feel like some of that stuff is like can really happen, and I don't really like need that in my
Yeah,
membranes.
You've never been good with scary movies.
Right.
What movie is it?
So, talk to me. Where that she's holding the hand or something.
I've seen that.
You seen it?
It is scary, but it's interesting.
It's
like,
scary to where you don't like too scary where I
There's
can't watch
there's
it.
been points where I've had to like duck behind the pillow.
Yeah, that's too
Like,
scary.
That's too scary.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know. That movie, it like it's crazy because that's kind of how like kids are now with spirituality. I think it's a game that gets fun until it gets real and then it's not fun anymore.
Yeah.
Cause in the movie, the kids were playing with this hand. It's like a clay hand with these writings on it.
What were the ratings?
Wasn't in English.
See, that's why you don't touch nothing if you don't know what it is.
Yeah.
Do your research.
And they would
especially on languages.
oh yeah. That's why you got to be careful what you get tattooed
And
on
nowadays you
and-
can put anything in ChatGPT
yeah.
and it'll tell you what it says
yeah.
in whatever language it is.
And with that hand, they were putting it like they were putting it on the table and basically like say, I did it. I would hold the like it's like a handshake basically, but you hold the hand like you don't let
Okay.
go. And in the movie, they were like, I let you in, which in real life to this day, if you say that, you're gonna get mounted, like with whatever.
Yeah, that is dangerous.
Like, and of course, in the movie, they got mounted, and their body would do something. They would like lean back, and their face would get bruised and like look all scary looking. And then when they came back to, the only person that could see the spirit is them because they're holding the hand. But when they came back, it wasn't the clay mold that they were holding. The spirit is holding their hand.
Because there was a
Talking-
spirit, basically, then there was a spirit attached
yeah,
to
you
the
just
clay.
let them in.
Yeah.
So they're basically
Yeah.
talking through them and saying crazy things. And there was a girl. She's the main character. Her name is Mia. And
Yeah, this is a really big spoiler alert. You guys.
yeah, sorry guys. There's a girl named Mia, and her mom had died recently before them playing with this hand and all that. It was a spirit that wanted that little boy,
Ooh.
and he ended up
He
putting
possessed a little boy?
yeah, and the spirit ended up putting the boy in critical condition. And in the movie, it's really
See?
gory. I won't describe exactly what happened, but
Yeah.
basically,
I don't want to know.
yeah, he got really hurt. And they were trying to get the hand off of him and detach and basically like dismiss the spirit, but he was already too far gone. And the spirit was not letting go of the hand. And by the time they got it off, the boy was like passed out on the floor, like done for.
Yeah, it is. Sounds like something was attached to it.
Oh yeah,
Very much.
yeah. And because when Mia got possessed, that's when the male who wanted the little boy, he literally was like, "I like you," and he pointed to him in the movie. He was like, "I like you," and he was pointing to the little boy, and everybody was just like laughing, thinking it was a joke, until y'all let him do his little 15 seconds, and then now it's not funny anymore.
Yeah, and when you talk about that with children, I know a lot of people wonder, okay, how does certain things affect children, right? Children are so easily accessible when it comes to spiritual attachments. And I want to get into that because not a lot of people understand this. Your child can have, and this is why it's so important to cleanse your child. We talked about cleansings in one of the episodes, right?
Yeah.
And it is very important to cleanse your home, but yourself. But most importantly, it is important to cleanse your kids. And I say this a lot because children are easily accessible to these negative and evil spiritual attachments. And your child can start acting up out of nowhere. And you're like, I don't know. He get that shit from his dad. Like, I don't know where he doing all that from. Whole time he got a spiritual attachment that is growing up with him, that has either been shadow born with him or has just been attached from going over somebody's house. It could be something that happened that was from a form of trauma and, the entity attached, but you don't know what you don't know. So just like you give your kid a bath every night because you don't know what germs that they picked up from school or daycare, you don't know what they walking around with. You don't know they was sitting next to somebody that was sick, right? So then you go home, you cleanse your kid and you make sure he clean and everything. Do that energetically. Do that spiritually, because you may think that this is your child and what they're like dealing with and who they are and what they're developing into and growing into, right? But it literally could be a spiritual attachment and you not know it, and it grows with that child. How many times have you seen somebody and their child has done a complete 360? And yes, there could be trauma. There could be something else psychological going on. It could be mental, because these are all elements of, this realm and the growth, right? But don't dismiss the spiritual aspect of it when it comes to children, because those entities do love children.
Because of the innocence?
Because of the innocence. And also, they're not going to really, some kids are not going to know, and a parent is not going to know that's walking with their kid.
Right. Unless, you're...
Right. People go to church, they go to the altar, they pray, they cleanse, we take spiritual baths, we do all kind of things to rid ourselves of negative energy, right? Mm-hmm. A child doesn't. Yeah. You're like, I'm going to pray over my kid. Okay, but what are you doing to get that entity off his back? And then, like you said, in the show, like he was like, ooh, I like you. Yeah, I bet he does.
The boy was 8.
Because he's easily accessible. We have willpower as adults. We have willpower. We can speak things. We have the freedom of religion and gods and stuff that we can speak over stuff. The blood of Jesus, Jehovah, Yahweh,
not gonna know
El Shaddai. We could speak those things over, and we can defend ourselves.
And entities like that feed off of fear. A child
can't defend
is
itself.
Going to only exude fear because they don't know anything.
Exactly. And guess what it's going to eat? And fear. It's going to feed off of that fear. And whatever it is that child is going to now go through, and it will stay with them.
Yeah. Even in the movie, another spoiler. Sorry, guys. Hope you guys plan on watching it after this. Even when he was in the hospital, he was still possessed. And I think in the movie, the spirit came through him again while Mia was trying to talk to him. And he was basically saying, like, he's mine. He's mine now. Like, you're not getting him back. And that happens.
That happens. That does happen. So I never really get into it when it comes to kids. People ask if some of my products are safe for kids. Some of them are, some of them aren't. But I highly recommend cleansing. Like I mentioned before, Kayla has a soul purge, a cleansing that she does. I have a children's ritual that I do for success and cleansing and clarity. And, so there's things that you can do spiritually with your children. Please do not leave your children out of your spiritual practice and growth.
Out of fear or thinking, oh, they're too young. That's when it matters.
because that's when they're picking up these entities.
Yeah.
And you want to give them their best chance.
And I also feel like, too, that's another reason why things like this and practices and possession and all that, like, and people playing with that, like, because there was a certain point in time on TikTok, maybe like 2-3 years ago, it was a trend. It was literally people doing tarot cards and buying tarot cards off a TikTok shop and, like, dressing up as witches and, like, really, like, even when I was still in school, like, people were bringing tarot cards to school.
I mean, even Ouija boards was a big trend, too.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but that's also why kids shouldn't be dabbling in things that they don't know about, especially spirituality is nothing to play with. Like, in channeling.
For some of us, it's just our way of life.
Yeah, and channeling is serious. Like, when you're giving somebody a reading, I don't know about her, but for me, I have to channel. I have to tap into not just your energy, but, like, and then sometimes
make sure your own energy is good.
Yeah, and spirits come to me, and it's not a game. It's okay. So with that being said, do you guys feel like I don't know if abuse is the right word, but I'm going to say it, and then you guys interpret it how you interpret it. But do you guys feel like spirit has a way of punishing those who abuse or take the craft as a joke?
I don't think that it's necessarily abuse from spirit, but rather more so a natural consequence of not really knowing what you're doing. Obviously, if you are dabbling into certain practices and you don't know what you're doing, let's say you are, using a Ouija board and you're trying to call on a certain spirit or a specific person, you don't set the groundworks to protect the area to make sure that no other spirits are trying to communicate with you that you weren't trying to speak to, or malevolent spirits trying to pretend to be who you thought you were speaking to. Because you didn't have that knowledge to take the necessary steps, the consequence is that, you can be spiritually taken advantage of. And I don't think that's considered spirit abusing you, but rather a natural consequence because you didn't take the necessary steps to do your research prior, and you're just kind of dabbling into something you don't know what you're doing.
So always make sure you have the information.
Yeah.
One, always make sure you have the protection.
Yeah, for sure.
Because that is more important. You don't even have to do spiritual work. Just protect yourself. Even if you're not into the spiritual practice of voodoo and you're watching and you're like, hey, I want to see what they're about. Yeah, I don't know if that's for me. Protect yourself. You still need protection. You can still wear a bracelet for protection. You can still wear an oil for protection. You can still do things to make sure that you're protected in this earthly world.
Yeah, because even if you're not dabbling in anything, you never know what your energy can bring.
It could be you.
Yeah.
I follow this lady. I forget her name. God bless her. But I remember her saying, I don't remember because I think it was on my Conjure Hoodoo page, and that page follows so many people. So I don't really go on there when I need to scroll on Instagram anymore. So I don't know where she's at, but hopefully she's well. She said, you are a portal. And if you guys know who's saying this, maybe put them in the comments, because it was a white lady, and she was really dope. I remember her energy was really dope. And she was like, you are a portal.
Talking about you?
No, you as a person.
Oh, okay.
Can be a portal for good and bad energy. So your thoughts, your energy can bring that same energy, right? So if your thoughts and your energy and your attitude is nasty and you're toxic and you're a tyrant and you are walking around triggered and mad at everything that somebody's saying and even misunderstanding what people are saying because you're so triggered, and you have all this healing to do, that is going to attract more of that, right? Yeah. And those same entities of that, right? So you are a portal for that energy to come through, for that entity to come through you. You know what I'm saying? Just like we were talking about Woman in a Yard. Mm-hmm. And I was saying how the shadows in the house gave it away. That's the shadow, her shadow self. The shadows were coming and they were affecting everything in the house and banging up the house and affecting the kids and everything, because she was a portal. She allowed that to come through.
Her demons that she didn't deal with.
Exactly. So the same thing goes to good energy. If you are a good person and you are giving good energy and you are good to people and you are, you wake up peaceful, you try to, at least for the most part, be at peace. And, you walk into a room and people love you and people like you and people like your energy, you're bringing good energy. Right? So she was just saying, just to make that point, that it could be you, basically. To sum it up, you could be the entity because you are a portal. Make sense?
Yeah.
So I guess what I want to get into next is, what are some ways that you can, I guess, be more balanced when it comes to spirituality to avoid those, avoid like a backfire or a punishment in a way?
Definitely regularly cleansing is important to, and I mean like regularly. I like to do it more intuitively, but if, you're not sure, then at least every 1 to 3 months is a good time frame on when you should get another cleansing, just to make sure that your aura is clear, it's cleansed, and there's no negative energies or negative entities that can attach to you or interfere with your energy. Definitely being on your protection work is important too for spiritual maintenance, and just making sure that you keep anything that's unwanted away from you, whether it's physically, mentally, emotionally, and definitely spiritually, keeping that away from your energy. In regards to like avoiding backfire, I guess that kind of goes into what we've mentioned before too, about being more clear about your intentions when it comes to doing work, and having that clarity and knowing that this is what you want to go forward with, and knowing that, okay, I've calmed down whatever way that you might be feeling, and I've decided that this is something that I want to go through with. This is something that I feel very clear with and very justified to do. And that can help you avoid any type of backlash or backfire that might happen, and also knowing what you're doing as well. Being very knowledgeable in your craft and knowing exactly what it is that you're doing, and not just doing something that you don't know. Like maybe it is some type of justice that you want to receive or some type of spell that you want to do, but then you go about it in a way that's kind of amateurish, or you try a technique that you've never really done before, that you don't know anything about, or even something that somebody else has done and you don't really understand it, but you think that, oh, that's going to get me the results. Like that's when sometimes consequences can happen too, or backfires, which I still consider more of a consequence. And those things can happen too when you don't really know what you're doing. So it's really important to have that clarity, know what you're doing, and have the knowledge of what you're doing too. Make sure you're cleansed and protected regularly. And just in general, for spiritual maintenance wise, that's a really good way of keeping negative energy off and making sure that you don't have to really deal with much backfire in your work.
I do 1000% agree with that. Is get the knowledge, right? I will say, for somebody who's had a practice for a decade now, you gonna mess up. You just gonna mess up. And you're gonna mess up with conjure, you're gonna mess up with hoodoo, you're gonna mess up. And sometimes that is the learning curve too, is fucking it up and then realizing, dang, I could have done that. I shouldn't have. I need to, and then go back to, square one, where you're learning the process and learning what you did wrong, and then moving accordingly. And then you're able to say, hey, okay, now I understand why you can't do this. Or I remember, I think I told people this. Remember, was you with me, Eria? One of y'all was with me. I was in my room and I was playing some music. I was about to go out, honey. I was going outside.
I remember.
This was a long time ago when we didn't call it that. But I was about to go outside and getting dressed, have my clothes, I just got the shower, music bumping in my room. At the same time that my music was bumping, I had a Dambala altar lit. When I tell you this big, huge speaker that was on the top shelf of a shelving unit on the top had the plug coming up from the back, plugged into the speaker. This speaker flew off of the shelf, hit the ground. I mean, from a high point, hit the ground. There's no way that speaker should have made it, right? The speaker did not break. There was nothing wrong with the speaker. And I learned a very, very, very valuable lesson to not have that kind of music that I was playing too, first of all. Because remember, I told you I was going outside, so just imagine the kind of music I was playing. And, you know, my generation, we got our version of Ratchet too. So, okay. So that's what I was playing. And I realized, okay, and I shouldn't have been doing that. But in the moment, I knew there was no possible way that speaker could have flew off by itself with it being like tethered with the cord plugged in the back of it from the back of the shelving unit. So obviously I was scared, but in the moment I got a very quick download and I paid attention to it and I knew immediately why it happened. And they didn't break my speaker. So happy about that, right? But I learned. I messed up. I learned. It was a consequence, right?
Yeah.
Like you said, but you're going to make mistakes. If you want to be in this practice and you want to have a clear practice and a clean practice and really grow in spirituality, I mean, if you are one of those people like me that love information and knowledge and how we like to read and me and Kayla swap books and, you know, you want the information. If you're one of those people and you want to practice it too, then you're gonna make mistakes. You're going to make mistakes. The key is to learn from it.
It's just as little as that warning was by just dropping your speaker, not breaking it, but making it fall over just music. Like, imagine somebody making an even bigger mistake and like what the warning or the punishment behind that could be.
Yeah.
Like, so people really have to be careful and really do the research and really be mindful. And if you're taking this journey, move slow.
Move slow. That is very good advice, Eria.
Yeah.
That,
Yes.
and, you know, and just kind of how, like what Mom was saying too about spirit communicating with you. So some of this is also intuitive work too. So it's not just having the research and the knowledge, because yes, you can find that online. Yes, you can find that in other books. But the truth of the matter is that
personal experience matters.
Personal experience matters, and sometimes it matters more. You can find information about certain voodoo spirits and stuff online, and even stuff to put on their altars and everything. But that spirit will let you know whether it wants you to put that on their altar or not, and it will communicate with you. So the fact of the matter is, it may not matter in that sense whether what you found online was accurate. It's what's being communicated to you, and that's purely intuitive for you to listen to yourself, listen to the communications that's being given to you, because that can also help get you out of trouble too. Like if we're talking about backfires, this is also divine intervention and protection that plays a role in that too. Sometimes your ancestors or certain spirits you're working with are also trying to protect you from backfire. Right. So you have to listen to them too. You have to listen to them. You have to listen to yourself. So all of this is really important altogether, to be honest.
It is. Take it slow.
Yeah.
Listen intuitively. Make sure you're receiving the downloads, because again, it's not just about getting what you want. You have to pay attention and be guided by spirit. I know a lot of you guys here, some of us spiritual workers, especially, you know, the ones that have been here the longest, we guide, our lives are guided by spirit, by a spiritual team, by our protection. So yes, it didn't break. You know, there's times I burnt my finger trying to light an altar that I didn't have everything on the altar correct. You know, because I ignored the sign when I lit it and it was lit, and then it blew out on its own. And I'm like, that's weird. It must have been something. Let me light it again.
It go out again.
It go out again. Then the next time I try to light it, I burn my finger.
Yeah.
You know, like, hey. And then I was like, okay,
there's something wrong, clearly.
Yeah, let me get, oh, dang, you're right. I didn't have, and it was a really big part of that particular ritual that I needed for that entity, or I won't say entity, but that spirit. And I learned, but you got to pay attention. Yes. This is spiritual, and you have to remember, you have to keep the spirit in it. You can't take the spirit out of spirituality. It is spiritual. It is intuitive. So again, yes, you will make mistakes. There will be consequences for those mistakes, but a lot of times the consequences for those mistakes is also could be your protection, where, you know, your ancestors may not want you to go that route too. So it goes both ways.
It's also, you know, people forget it's called a journey for a reason.
Yeah.
Take the journey.
Yeah. And
take the journey.
Don't run. Maybe even crawl if you need to.
Don't crawl.
Okay, maybe don't crawl. But walk. Go slow. Like, don't be in a rush to, wherever you're trying to go. Don't rush it.
And don't be so power hungry.
Yeah, I think that's where I was going with that.
Yes, I can tell. Because a lot of people get into this and they're like, my powers. And it's like, oh my God, I was so it used to crack me up. And it still does, because you still see it on TikTok sometimes where they're like, my powers, my powers, my powers. And so that is coming from a place of ego. Mm-hmm. That's coming from a place of actually lack, because if it really was power that you had, you wouldn't have to talk about it and convince anybody about it. So it's really not about your powers and what you can do. It's about your relationship with spirit. It's spiritual. It's your relationship with spirit and how you can grow and how, you know, that can improve your life and others around you. And then you pass it down.
Yeah, people definitely have to be careful with your intentions when it comes with the work that you're doing, but also as to why you're choosing to take on this spiritual journey. Because it is so much more than the attracting the money and attracting the love. Like, it's a personal journey, and you're coming home to yourself too. Like, there's so much you learn about yourself in that journey. There's so much that you connect with. You learn to connect with people. You learn to connect with nature on this journey too, and connect with spirit as well. So it's really, it's a deep journey, and it's different for everybody, but your intentions is really important when you're going in, to make sure that you're not going in it with a greedy perspective, or you just want money. You just want, and honestly, just to say you just want love too, because it's usually you just want that man. You know, it's not, it's not about love comes in many forms. It doesn't have to be romantic, you know? So your intentions definitely matter in that too. And you want to make sure that, that is pure.
Yeah, speaking of men, sometimes their spiritual team do not want them to continue with you. Yeah. So you're battling something that you can't even see, that you're not going to win.
That's where resistance comes from.
Yeah, it does. Sometimes. It does. So when a lot of times, that's why love work is very tricky. We may do an episode on it because it is very tricky. It is very, I know a lot of people look down on it. Here we do not judge. You know, this is a safe space, so we don't judge. But we will give you some game and some truth and some ways to do it safely if it is meant for you, because you can enhance what you already have. So that's one of the ways that we work with it, is just enhancing what's already there.
Thank you guys for joining us on the Conjure Confessions. My name is Eria Maria Ahari.
I'm Chaela Ahari.
And I am Lala Inuti Ahari. You guys do not forget to tune in to the Conjure family on Amazon Prime and Apple TV. We will see you next Sunday. Bless you. To all the people who want to rebuke us,
this should be a private practice. You should keep that to yourself. People aren't supposed to know this stuff. Our ancestors have had to hide. We had to be private. We've had to be quiet. And now we're loud. We're being in our truth. We're being in our power. We're not going to keep hiding. We're not going to keep pretending.
Are you going to pass down and tell your children, don't ask questions?
We're just trying to practice what our ancestors had before.
they conquered.
Nobody should ever tell you or condemn you for asking questions.
You're afraid of everything. Everything is demonic. Every little thing is scary, demonic, of the devil.
Why do you get scared? Who made you afraid of it? It is conditioning. You have been conditioned to feel that way. You can't even ask questions. Get out. We're not going anywhere. We're not going to hell. We will not be rebuked.